This is Hank. How you doing? I woke up this morning in a pretty good mood and was going through my morning routine, checking the news and verifying the homework was done and whatnot. And I learned, well, it's not a big thing or a big secret, but there was an article in there about the company in China named Huawei, something like that. It almost sounds and spelled like Hawaii, but it's a Chinese software manufacturer company that apparently we are, as Americans, are under threat from. And this is something that Donald Trump has successfully identified and has taken action to resolve, but has been scrutinized to the point where it has delayed his process. For those that do not know or understand the circumstance, right now there is a big concern about the Chinese tariffs and how bad things are with China because of the tariffs and everything that is transpiring with China. So we get to learn recently that China has been sponsoring or helping finance this software company. And remind you, China is a socialist government, and that pretty much means that any manufacturing company whatsoever of any good or resource works for the Chinese government. Well, the Chinese government wants to completely deny that this company Huawei does not indeed work for China. But how can you deny that if you're a communist government? That's exactly what they're trying to get everyday citizens to believe. As long as American citizens are blinded to the truth, China continues to do what they continue to do, run interference, and they're very good at it. But on this particular incident, this company has been noted or identified for the manufacturing of these pieces of software or even devices such as cell phones, watches, laptops. If it's a digital electronic component, this company has its hands in it. And what this Chinese company is doing is producing software that collects data. And they're trying to get all all these devices into America. And one of the common routes that they take is through Canada, Mexico, and even Europe, because their restrictions are less strict than our own, but with the same understanding of the intent to infiltrate the American government. Now, there's 100% denial of this knowledge, but when you put the cards on the table, how can you not see that? And if I could see it, I'm sure there's many other smarter people than myself out there dealing with this the same way, or, asking the same questions at least. But these products find their way into American society. And then the average day Joe goes out and purchases these items at cheaper rates. I mean, the spy devices, I'll call them spy devices, it just seems to be fitting. These spy devices are being mass produced and sold so cheaply that they are highly desirable by the common person in society. So the American people, blinded by hate, decides, hey, there's no reason to be concerned. Let's go buy this cell phone. And they find that this cell phone, well, they may or may not find out that the cell phone is tracking data. It is recording your information on what you browse, who you communicate with, who you talk to, how you talk, what you say, your finances, everything. And this is a process that I'll say that our government attempted to dabble in to our knowledge and reluctantly pulled back away from. But China moved forward. And now they're mass producing these spy devices, trying to get them into American society to better understand easier ways to infiltrate our society and government. And in the process, our government, Donald Trump, identified this. He knew of this situation, and he knew that the other politicians had chosen to not engage and do anything to prevent that. For example, down back in the Clinton, Bush, and Obama era, there was a lot of negotiations on tariffs then. America got no headway with it whatsoever. And a part of that process, America had decided that it would be a genius idea to sell the third largest meat producing farm in America, hundreds of thousands of acres, thousands of cattle, grade A beef, to China. In the process of selling that to China, China then gets to benefit on the ability to harvest, let's say, one cow out of the thousands, harvest that one cow, and for a very slight fee, export it back to China. In retrospect, in the agreement, America had argued that we cannot provide you with one of our more serious resources without a substitute on the same. So China decides, okay, we don't have large meat producing manufacturers like they do there in America. Their cows are bigger, they're stronger, they seem healthier, whatever the reasons were. I mean, there was a lot of negotiations happening. What China will do, will send their grade C beef into America. And on the flip side, they tariff the shit out of that beef, making America pay double the tariff, double the tax. So instead of making headway with China, all we did was give them land here in America that they can sovereign to, and a solid resource that is tangible that they can utilize against us. Heck, they could take that beef and just throw it away for all they care. They're still doing what they set out to do, and the American people are accepting to this. Now back with the spy devices. So Donald Trump confronted the fact that China is engaging in illegal warfare. And that's exactly what it is warfare. And right now, China has complete deniability in the eyes of our public, because China claims that the Huawei or whatever is an independent contracted company that operates outside of the spectrum of the Chinese government. But that's impossible, again, because it is a communist government. And nobody produces anything in a communist government without paying the government. So there is a bold-faced lie that uncountable Americans seem to believe. And that is one of the things that Donald Trump has decided to target. If China wants to proceed and allow this company to manufacture such product and then try to use that product to infiltrate our government, well, then we're going to have to try to do what we can to put a stop to it. So tariffing the company itself does no justice, because the Chinese government will just back that company and help pay that tariff anyway and move it along, and then complain about the tariff along the way, making it look like they're trying to be economical and friendly to the American people, to get the American people's approval and get the American people angry with Donald Trump, because, hey, that's the easy thing to do right now, which will slow down the process and maybe negate the tariffs from even happening. So Donald Trump keeps pushing forward, let's get these tariffs in place so that the government has to pay the tariffs, which will then kind of redirect the pressure into the government of the hands of the people that present the problem. But we are learning that the everyday average run-of-the-mill American citizen, tax-paying, hard-working, law-abiding American citizen, legal American citizen, seems to be disgruntled towards Donald Trump and opposed to confronting the Chinese war activity, I guess. And it's disturbing because in the manner that this continues to proceed this way, we can find ourselves at a Chinese society delegated and controlled and authoritated by the Chinese government. You see what China is doing to Taiwan. They're just trying to absorb their economic structure, disclaiming that Taiwan is an independent country altogether. And they've even gone through the extent of holding a man accountable as a criminal for stating that Taiwan should be designated its own country. Yeah, China actually went and apprehended the individual that said that Taiwan was an independent country and held him accountable and charged him with acts against the government, which is punishable by death in China. Just because he said that Taiwan is a country. So a lot of people in America need to learn and understand why the tariffs exist with China and how they are applied and why they are applied. It's not just to make them mad or try to get more of a dollar out of them. It's to put pressure in the right positions in the Chinese government to try to woe them back, to try to woe back the Chinese government from continuing the path of war. And there is some theories that claim that this could be our next lead to World War III and a more severe threat than that of the Cold War. I don't know about you, but I lived through the Cold War, a good portion of it, at least the tail end of it. And I remember being stressed out when the Cuban Missile Crisis occurred. And I remember watching the ships coming towards the border that was designated by the American Navy, and where the American Navy had threatened that if the ship approached any closer and made it past that line, we would sink it. And we were that close to World War III then. And this is expected to be worse than that. So our greatest defense is being manipulated by individuals in government and society in general because they don't like Donald Trump. You guys need to put the blinders up and open your eyes a little bit and look around and see what's going on. This is not about Donald Trump. You may like him, you may love him, you may hate him, you may loathe him, but he is still the president of the United States, and he is a businessman that has been so successful. He has been identified as one of the most elite or richest people in the world. He's got to be doing something right in the eyes of the economy and business. And if he can succeed at the level of what he has, maybe he does have a better understanding of what needs to be done than the average Joe citizen that sits at home and watches what he learns off of TV and gets his information from CNN News. I mean, open a book. Don't rely on mass media to tell you what to say, think, feel, or do. Open a book. Do some reading. Gather information from academic resources. If you have a hard time finding what an academic resource is because you've never had to worry about it, ask someone. I am sure there would be countless people willing to help. But accepting someone else's idea or words as your own and then putting those into action is no better than doing nothing. And doing nothing is unacceptable. It's no better than a mindless sheep wandering around aimlessly following the herd because the herd seems to just follow the one in front. HanK out. Love ya.